G'day, my name is Joel Rasmussen for Southern Cross Combat, and ahead of Beatdown Promotions 7, I'm talking to the man who runs the show. I'm talking to Mr. Damien Brown. Damien, thank you for your time. How are you today?
I am great. Doing awesome, actually. Very good.
I'm very glad to hear that. What has today been for you? What have you been up to today?
Man, it's a public holiday in Queensland. I don't know if that's everywhere. Labor Day here. So, not a great deal, a bit of family time and hoping that I never wake up on a Monday or fight week again with bad news. But yeah, it's been a good day.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear it's been a good day. It is obviously, as you just said, there it is fight week for you for Beatdown Promotion 7. We were going to do this last week. However,
Yeah.
some scheduling stuff happened, and you were at a jiu-jitsu tournament. How was
Oh,
the jiu-jitsu tournament?
man, it was a ladies only jiu-jitsu comp. Look, I'm a massive fan of promoting women in sport, particularly jiu-jitsu. I don't think that the male to female ratio is as good as it should be in combat sports. I think it's very natural for men to gravitate towards it, but not females. But I think combat, well, not like sports, but also from a self-defense point of view, should play a large role in, you know, or women should have a large role in that. I have a female only program in my gym, and 40% of our kids members are women, like girls. So I'm a massive fan, and it was pretty cool to see an all girls jiu-jitsu comp. So yeah, it was a good day out.
How did the representatives of base training go?
Yeah, good man. I mean, we had like it was quite a small comp. We had 25% of the registrations, so they always do good, taking home some gold medals. We got some really good, strong kids that compete pretty regularly. We had the ladies, three of our four ladies were in the same division, so they just monstered each other. But other than that, it's pretty good. It's nice for me. It's nice to there's always going to be those people that are happy to compete, super competitive, get amongst it all the time and everything. But it's always nice to see people that you otherwise wouldn't expect to compete really find a love for it. You know, mums that maybe just joined our women's program for a bit of something to do, says their kids were inspired, or because they were inspired by their kids, or whatnot, and then all of a sudden they're in the normal classes, and then they go from the normal classes to the competitions, and it's always kind of inspiring and pretty cool to see. So yeah, it was overall it's a good day out.
So, you are the promoter of Beatdown. You yourself are a former professional fighter, and along with that, you are the coach at Base Training Center. Talking about seeing people who do the sport that you wouldn't expect. As your time as a coach, what have you noticed about that? When you started the gym, were you expecting a certain type of person compared to who's at the gym now? How is that for your perspective as a coach?
Um, Look, I would say running a gym the way I run a gym is very difficult. It's a lot easier to pick a niche market or a target audience and just focus on that. So if it would be easier just to be like, I'm going to run a fight gym, and then it's like, if you don't like training like this, get out. It would be easier to say, hey guys, no competitors in this gym. We just teach you martial arts. If you want to compete, go elsewhere. Like, it'd be easier to exclude people, but we tend to try to bring everyone together. I also feel like competition, for the most part, should be a byproduct of what you're doing anyway. And I feel like if you're periodizing your training and increasing and decreasing intensity accordingly, then there's no reason why you can't prepare for a fight without competitors in the gym, only with a few. So I guess from what I envision my gym to be, it is what it should be today. We've probably got a dozen, maybe 15 actual active fighters. We have a second gym now, so there's some guys about 15 months into training that probably fight around the end of this year, mid to late this year. So look, we're growing a stable of fighters, I guess you would call it a roster. But we never we never lose sight of our training methodology, who we are, what we believe in and how we think people should train. And I think, our results are no different to anyone who would otherwise have a fight gym. So, um, yeah, I think overall our gym's doing exactly what I planned for it to do, and that was build a big martial arts community that support each other and positive mental and physical health.
Now, Beatdown 7 will be the first time the promotion has ventured out of Brisbane. It's going to Townsville. I'm not fully sure. I believe you've had some connection to Townsville throughout your life. Why, out of all the places to take it for the first time out of Brisbane, why Townsville?
I served in the army there for 4.5 years. I love Townsville. I very nearly moved back to Townsville prior to opening a gym. Um, you know, I'm I was very passionate about martial arts. I wanted my own gym. I didn't move back to Townsville when we looked at what we considered it after I got out of the army, but we didn't do it because one of my best friends up there, Ian Bone, Jack James's coach, he has a gym, very successful gym. He was also my first MMA coach, and I just didn't feel like going up there and opening a business was A, the right thing to do, or B, going to work. I'd much rather see he succeed. So if I was going to move back there, I would have just worked for him, which would have been pretty cool. But I wanted my own gym, and I believed I had a good product and a good idea on how a gym should run. So I never moved back there. But I served in the army there. I had my first one of my first 6 professional fights was up there on the first ever MMA card, Brace MMA, in 2000. I think it was 2012. It might have been 2011. I think it was 2012. So I fought there, served there. I go back there every year. Townsville's just a good spot for me. I like it. And I felt like if I was ever going to take the show outside of Brisbane, that it made a lot of sense. So I took what I thought North Brisbane was lacking to a place where I felt like MMA was also lacking. And I'd say based on ticket sales, I was probably right.
Talking about that, as you said, you fought there on a card there. I've never been to Townsville. What is the scene like? Do people there, do they love combat sports?
And they're North Queenslanders. They like to fight, drink beer, ride bulls, and play footy. Like it's just it's a good place. It's a very I think North Queensland's very sports based, and they do support like a lot. So like North Queenslanders, they get behind the Cowboys, for example. They drive like the Cowboys games compared to Brisbane, for example. Like I think the Broncos games, you could ask how many people support the Broncos that drive from Longreach. I don't know, what's that, like 9 hours, 10 hours away, something like that. Or, say somewhere out there, Warwick, drive in every weekend for a Broncos game. Probably not many, but there's people that drive from Mount Isa to Townsville to watch the Cowboys play every home game. You're like, North Queensland's a real tight, like supportive sort of region. And so, I feel like that coupled with the fact that they do like fighting and stuff like that, that they would get behind it. The early MMA shows at the entertainment center used to fill out. I know that Kaya Pate from Brace went back there multiple times, and I don't know what that looks like for us, but I know the entertainment center is very expensive. And I'm happy about the ticket sales, and I really like to go back there again. I'm surprised that Townsville don't have maybe like a better built, purpose built sort of stadium, but I guess there's just not much demand up there for that like 1 to 2 thousand crowd. So entertainment center's got 4,000, and yeah, it's pretty good.
Talking about that, and obviously you've said there multiple times now, you're happy with how it's going with the sales and stuff. But still, you're taking a promotion that you've made and you're taking it somewhere else, same state, but still, it's kind of a new market. Before deciding to do it and before the tickets are on sales, was there any anxiety about it?
Oh, shitting myself. Shitting myself. Like, it was terrible. For the first 6 weeks, I was shitting myself. It was like 4 weeks ago, probably, it started to really sell. Like every week, like we've sold every week what we would normally sell in fight week for the past 4 weeks. So, you know, again, like we're not filling a 4,000 seat stadium. Like they got curtains, they box it all off, and we release tickets accordingly. I think somewhere around 1,200 tickets or something that we have the capacity to sell, which, really probably for Townsville, for the cost of that venue compared to Brisbane, any promoter would know that that's not really going to make you much money, but it's pretty cool. Something like that sells out. It's a feel good business move. You go to a new place, it's successful. More importantly, you got guys like Ian who put their heart and soul into a gym. They've just been open 10 years. They don't get MMA shows up there regularly. Jack James, Kobe Wood Lynch, Sebastian Woods, Callum Butcher, who's going to fight early on the one of the untelevised bouts. Like these guys train day in, day out and look for opportunities in Brisbane. They look for opportunities on the Gold Coast. They're fighting Thai boxing in Southeast Queensland. They don't have fights up there. So I just get this opportunity to give back to North Queensland. I don't care if I make money off this show. I only care that I don't lose money, to be honest. And that it's loud and Townsville people are proud to have that kind of thing up there. And that's what matters to me. So, yeah, we put 1,000 bums in seats and the Townsville Entertainment Centre roars and everyone wins.
I would assume it is a huge relief then when the tickets start to move. But when that starts happening and you begin to sell out, as you said, the past few weeks, it's been like fight week. How is that for you as the promoter?
Man, look, I'll be honest, and I think anyone that's ever promoted a fight or even started a business knows that, in the first few years, you don't draw wages, you're reinvesting in your business. And so we're doing good, man. We're cracking on, show after show. And um, it's not, I'm playing the long game, I'm not in it to run one show, two shows, seven shows and get out. Like I'm fucking here and I'm here to stay. And so, uh, as long as we keep putting shows on and we keep building our brand, then you know, it's good. So it was nice for me when it started to sell, for me to go, okay, like as long as again, with business, it's like if you make money, cool. If you don't lose it, even better. It's like if I'm not losing money, I'll keep going back there, because it will build over time. Like if you spend your first year in business and you're not siphoning money down the drain, you keep building, and eventually you build this product and this brand that's very successful. And that's what the other big shows have done. Guarantee after 10 shows, Eternal MMA wasn't what Eternal is today. Hex after 10 shows wasn't what Hex is today. The list goes on. Like um, everyone started somewhere, and we've started in North Brisbane and now Townsville, and you know, it's going great. I'm excited. I'm happy the tickets are selling, and I just can't wait for a good show to be up there and for everyone to be talking about it.
Talking about that growth and how it's beginning to take off. If I'm not mistaken, it's already planned for Beatdown 8, which it'll be the quickest turnaround for you. It'll be a 2-month gap.
Um, I think I did that last year, or for this one, I was on March 13 or something this year, and then May 8 is the quickest. May 11th, I think that's the quickest turnaround. The next one's 9 weeks, but I'm actually pretty sure I got two shows in about 16 or 17 weeks, so they're much the same. Um, Look, I don't think it's a big deal given that they weren't three shows in Brisbane. Um, most of the people that are fighting in Townsville weren't fighting in Brisbane. Um, there's probably, oh man, there's probably one guy, maybe one or two guys that would fight on the next Brisbane card. So anyone that's on the Townsville card really isn't going to impact our July card. Our July card has started to take shape. We've got some fights there that we're excited to announce. We're pretty excited for what potentially could be our main event. I'll leave that one, but I'm excited for that. We've got an international lined up. Big winning record. Trains with some high level guys, and I think everyone will be excited to see that if we can get it finalized. So yeah, I don't think that this one's going to impact the next one at all. It's been a bit of a juggle trying to run two gyms and match make 2 fight cards at the exact same time. But yeah, it's going all right. We'll be sweet in July.
Well, I brought it up to ask about like evidently that like it's growing. You're getting to the point where you feel you can kind of bounce that kind of momentum and 2 months show, 2 months show, 2 months show. You touched on it there. How is it though to plan all of it?
It's busy, man. It's super busy, but I wouldn't be where I am without the team that I have around me. Um, I'm very proud and grateful of the fact that I've never had an employee leave. I employ all of my friends, which is, most would say it's the cardinal sin of business, but I employ all of my friends. They all have trained with me or under me, and they work for me, and they're team based, they're team beatdown. They support me, and I do the same for them. And without the team, every single person, whether it's staff or some of my best mates, are giving up their weekends to go to Townsville, um, to help me set my cage up, to help me set my show up, and to run my show. And I'm very grateful to have those people around me. And you know, without that core group of people, the shows doesn't happen, or they're harder, or you're paying people to do it a lot more than you are, or without those people in the gym that are running the gym when I need a night off because I'm tired, or I need to match some fights, or I need to organize something for the next fight show, or fly to Townsville, or whatever it is, none of it happens, right? So, you know, I'm grateful that people are there running my gym and teaching my members the martial arts they need to learn, and giving them that product while I can continue to build. And so it's been fun, but it wouldn't be what it is without the people that help me.
If I'm not mistaken, not too long ago on social media, you put out a call looking for a former UFC fighter to get in contact with you. If I can ask, what was that about?
Man, former UFC or PFL featherweight is what I put a thing out for.
Yes.
Man, look, I think I would argue, without doing, digging deeper, that when my show started in July 2022, I don't believe that there was, now I know that was COVID, whatever, people can use that as an excuse, but prior to COVID even, I don't believe there was many internationals that were brought to Australia to fight on Australian cards, not as a one-off last minute replacement, but as a regular, stable kind of fight. You know what I mean? Like, and I started running shows, and I don't want to be the guy that claims that that was fucking me or anything like that, but like, if people are doing things, other people will do them. And I brought internationals here from Japan, um, and we started making sure that there was internationals on cards again, and that had nothing to do with internationals. That was to do with the fans and the fighters. The fighters in Australia deserve to fight international level competition without flying 30 hours across the world to fight them in their backyard, where they're going to get fucking robbed if they go to a decision. And so those guys that are ready for that next level, um, I thought, well, fucking, why not bring an international here? So we did that. They're on every card now. Um, Eternal's got internationals, Hex got internationals. So I know Hex used to bring guys from Guam anyway, with JJ Ambrose and that, but like, so look, it's been fun. And I think that, the only people that you've got to understand, there's like, it's a business, right? So some people, the reason why I put that call out really is, we've done the international thing, and I feel like you can still do that and make money, but there's no one really investing in the growth of the sport, right? Like putting shows on, and anyone can put a show on, but like investing in Australian athletes, investing in the growth of the sport is really important at this level. And I feel like that bringing ex UFC and PFL guys out here to fight our Aussies that are at that level who need that kind of fight. I feel like that's investing in the growth of the sport. That's investing in fighters. And as much as it is about making money, because like promoting is a fucking hard job. And you know, it's funny when I started doing it, I had a conversation with Cam O'Neill on the phone one day, and you know, it was just a funny thing because he was just in a nutshell was basically like, do you think you like when I think I made a comment about his hair falling out or something like that, and he's like, "Fucking, you're next." In other words, like, you know, it's stressful. It's a stressful job, and you know, he definitely gave me a heads up on that. So did many others. You know, I sat down with Justin Lawrence, and I've absorbed the information from the people around me. But at the end of the day, I stay true to what I say, and that is, you know, I'm not here to profit off fighters. I'm here to make sure that I invest in the growth of the sport and the fighters and the fans get the best opportunities to enjoy a night out at my show. Um, and that's what the call out was. I want to bring a ex UFC or PFL veteran out here to Australia to fight a domestic standout athlete.
Did you get a response from that post?
No, I didn't, but I've got enough. I've got enough connections to bring people from wherever I want. Really,
Is
I
there
mean,
any? Sorry, continue.
I've been everywhere. Like I've fought in Europe. You know, I fought in England. Well, I should say the UK, but I fought in England. You know, I fought in Ireland. I fought in Jordan. Like I fought in America, New Zealand, throughout Asia. Like I know enough people to make enough connections to get the right people out here if I need it. But you know, then there's the business side of it. It's making sure they're affordable. Like a lot of guys that are ex UFC, ex PFL, they want like $10,000, and most people talk in US these days, particularly in MMA. So when people are asking for 5 or 10K US, it's like, whoa, fucking hang on a second, mate. Like you're ex UFC PFL, like let's not get carried away. So there's still a business aspect to it. You know, I'm by no means backed by unlimited amounts of money. So you still need to make the right decisions so you don't lose money. But you know, I'm willing to invest in the sport and more importantly the fighters. And I think any of them that come in contact with me understand that. I run a good show. Um, it runs on a time schedule. It's professional. I look after every single person that comes through it. And you know, if I can get that level of sort of opponent out here, then I will.
Talking about levels of opponents and the upcoming show. It is main evented by Jack James and Adam Cook. I was wondering, what are your thoughts just in general on those two guys and that fight?
Yeah, it's an interesting fight, isn't it? Look, Adam Cook's 7-2. He's very unpredictable, right, in his movement. I mean, the fight between him and Tom Nolan, even though he lost, there was some wild, crazy scrambles and just got himself caught in some bad positions and whatnot. But the other guy has some unorthodox striking. He's from a very good gym, obviously world class, one of the best gyms in the world in CKB. He has good grappling. He'll most likely try to take the fight to the ground. Um, but who knows? Jack's got good grappling, so maybe he'll avoid that. See some holes in the stand up. Um, I think I think Jack is a well-rounded fighter. It's pretty well known. You know, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He has good competition grappling. He's won plenty of gold medals in competition grappling. And I think for the most part, he's 5-2, but he's always gone back to his grappling. I think in the last fight against Jamie Spawn, we've seen him sort of back his striking a little bit and get a little bit more of that away. So I really don't know how this fight will play out because both these guys can grapple and both can strike, and they do have a very similar experience level. You know, Jack's got decent amateur experience and stuff like that. So, you know, a lot of guys. That's one of my beefs at the moment. Is a lot of guys they might be like 10-0 or 12-0 or 10-2 as an amateur, and they're like, oh, I'm making my pro debut and I want to fight another guy on debut. I'm like, fuck, mate, you've had like 12 fights, but no one wants to count their amateur fights when they make their pro debut. Jack's always been willing to step up the plate. You know what I mean? I think he was like 2-1 or something like that when he fought, or 2-1, maybe 3-1 when he fought John O'McCallum. McAuliffe was like 5-0. So it's like that, he's willing to step up the plate. He knows that he's got experience behind him and he's happy to always be, a little lower on the pro experience because he does have that well-rounded experience. Look, I don't really know how the fight's going to play out. I wouldn't be surprised if we get like a violent display of everything from both guys and we get a decision, and it's probably one of the best welterweight fights that we get to see in Australia. So that's what I reckon will happen.
As a man who is both coach and promoter, when you're coaching people and they're on the show, I'm assuming as a promoter, there's like you have to be involved in the making of the show and it's running, but also when your guys are on it, you have to take care of them. Come show night, how do you kind of balance that?
Look, first of all, I will say this. It's very difficult to coach my own guys on my own show. I'm aware that it could be seen as a conflict of interest and whatnot. But I would disagree. As long as you are a fair and reasonable person that has good values and you match the fights correctly, I just make sure I'm clear with the other team and go, hey man, like just so you guys know, we're just trying to make this fight. This guy's from my gym. I'm going to be cornering him. They're like, yeah, sweet, no worries. No one cares because good and fair fights, it doesn't really make any difference. So first of all, I just want to make that clear that like, we're very transparent in our approach to that. Yes, it could be seen to have been some kind of conflict there, but we are clear from the start. And then as for the show, I do have plenty of people that help. Right, I don't try and run a show by myself. I don't run a cheap show either. So we obviously have our stream crew. We have our photographers. We have volunteers that help us backstage, so I don't have to manage any fighters. And we have our social media, manager. So I think you'll find out of most of the shows in Australia, we're probably one of the better at updating, results, like fights to come up, results and all that sort of stuff. It's constant flow of someone that's just working on a computer the whole time. And of course we have Mitch, who does, like, obviously I'm the promoter, but he does a whole bunch of work in the back end. And he's there on the night. Look, on the night, like he would mostly take photos and stuff like that, and pretty much liaises with me by phone. So if I'm up in a change room or something like that and there's something going on, I'm getting calls. And we just sort of manage it together. A couple of part-time guys just running a full-time fight show. But for the most part, I also have this comes back to the team around you, right? So I've got enough people that are willing to contribute to my fight show to make it possible. And then we have people in the right roles that make it operate. And then out the back, I got like 2 or 3 coaches as well, not just me. I don't even warm my guys up. I just sit in the corner and coach them, take a nice photo and celebrate with them. But really, I just we've got coaches that train them day in, day out, as well as me. Of course, I'm the head coach, but they trust these other guys as well. So we have people out the back doing their jiu-jitsu with them, doing their pad work with them, moving around with them, whatever they need. When they walk out, I'm there to walk out with them. And I think that's probably one of the benefits of building a good gym is that you have a good group of coaches that these guys trust, not just yourself, So yeah, it's not too bad. I did make the mistake last year in March, so not the one just gone. Last year I had 8 guys from my gym on it. And like honestly it was fucking crazy. Like I didn't warm anyone up. I felt like I sat in the corner all night coaching fights. I think I had like 8 out of 14 fights. So we actually went 2 wins, 6 losses that night. Like it was horrible. My guys were probably matched up a little too fairly. And a couple of them, maybe gave them a little bit harder fights or whatnot. But, it is what it is. They're all learning experiences, both as a promoter, a coach, and a fighter. And Yeah, so now we try to balance it out so we only have like 3 or 4 guys on every card. Um, and we make sure we have someone out the back to warm each of those guys up while the other ones are fighting, and we just make it happen, you know. And in between fights, I'm just running around organizing things, and it's good, man. We make it happen. I'm a busy guy. I juggle lots of things at once.
Are you someone who, if you had that moment of like a breath, you wouldn't kind of know what to do with yourself?
Man, I don't take a breath. I just keep running. It's I think I had one fight show where I sat out the back, like the back near the stage, or you call it the front, I guess. I sat in the VIP area and had a beer and watched the main event, and that was like the one and only time I've done it. And so yeah, it's I don't like downtime, like um yeah, I like to say to people all the time, like, success waits for no one, so why wait for it? So, you got to get after it. If you got spare time, you should either be sleeping or working, and that's me, man. That's who I am. It's what I've always done, and now it's no different. Now I just get to do it for myself.
So I spoke to Joseph Luciano the other day. I had an interview with him. He is,
Good
of course.
interview, by the way.
Oh,
Great interview. I listened to the whole thing.
oh, thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah.
I believe it was in the interview he mentioned this. I was talking to him obviously afterwards as well. Um, he pointed out something that I had never really clicked about Beatdown, because you put on great fights, but you guys don't do titles. And I was wondering if there was any reason for that and what your thoughts on local titles were.
Yeah, I don't think they hold any weight. They're just trophies. I what give out one to every fight. You know what I mean? It's the same shit. Like no one, no one, like if the UFC were to say like, "Hey man, if you had a domestic title, we'd sign you." Like I put titles on. I'd help out the fighters. You know what I mean? No one gives a shit about titles. No one cares about them. No one cared about them when I had 3 of them. They only cared that you're on a win streak, that you had a good positive their win loss ratio, um, and that when an opportunity came up, you were ready to fight. You could make weight. That's all they care about, man. They don't care about anything else. Look, they have the choice these days a lot more than ever to look at your record and work out who you fought, what their records were. They don't dive too deep, but they look at the records of your opponents, and they're like, oh yeah, you've fought guys that are undefeated or whatever. You fought guys that are more experienced than you, like. But if you fought like 6 guys in a row that are 2-2, no one cares if you're on a 6-fight win streak, right? So you just need to make sure that you've done the work and you've prepared yourself right, and that you've got the right opponents along the way. But the reality is, good positive winning record, good win streak, opportunity comes, you say yes, you make weight. Congratulations, you made the UFC. All right. The last prospect that, from my mind, that was signed direct to the UFC, not the Ultimate Fighter, not Contender Series, but literally like, congratulations, mate, you're in the UFC, was Taito Ivasa. Right? I believe. Plenty have gone through the Contender Series. Yes, they are prospects. Jack Della, holy shit, what a fucking G. Stephen Esseg, um, all these guys like Shannon Ross, like they've all gone through the Contender Series. I get it, lots of people have signed, right? But the reality is, most of us, me included, sign based on opportunity. No one gives a shit about Australian titles. Not only that, let's take the signing part out of it. To have a title that has value, then maybe. But people just want fights. I don't think that any fighters should sign exclusive to anywhere in the country. Um, because then you're limited to how many fights you can have. You're a domestic fighter. I wanted to fight 6 times a year when I was fighting. No one's going to put me on 6 hex cards a year, 6 beatdown cards. I don't even have 6. 6 Eternal cards. 6. I think Eternal had 9 shows last year. I'm not sure they would have had many people fight 6 times. So not only that, you just got to be able to take the opportunities as they come. If you want to fight regularly, you need to have access to every opportunity. So sign an exclusive doesn't really work for the athlete. But then, like, as a promoter, having a title without exclusive contracts doesn't make sense either, because guys will just vacate it to go to the next fight. So I just think that like they don't make a lot of sense. They just look nice. I mean, you take lots of photos. Like I've got them hanging in my gym. They look cool. Um, but I think a lot of people these days, MMA is a business, right? There's no loyalty anymore. Like if I won the Eternal belt, right, for example, and then was offered a fight at Kangoo Fight Night in Bali, I'd take that. And then I was offered a fight somewhere else, I'd take that. And then maybe Eternal offered me a fight, but I like a fight on Hex a bit better. I'd probably fight on Hex because that's me. That's my career. It's just all business now. Then Eternal's belt holds no value because they can't get you back to defend it, right? Which is why they have exclusive contracts. It's a good business move. Like I love it, but it doesn't make sense for the athlete. And so I just feel like if I started doing titles, at least at this point, I just don't know that people would come back to defend them or whatnot. And I don't know that I have enough fight shows to justify it. Like if say I got 3 Brisbane cards a year and I need to have, I don't know how many weight classes are there, fucking 8 weight classes, right? And then I've got say 2 or 3 female weight classes. All of a sudden I've got 11 belts. Now I need 11 belts like to be defended per year, which means every fight card has to have 3 or 4 title fights on it. It's like pretty big deal to try and maintain that. And then that's with them all having 1 fight a year. Imagine if I got to put them all on 3 times a year to keep them busy. You know, you can't expect that of an athlete. So I feel like if I got a belt, they just go and fight elsewhere. So I just don't know that. I just can't see the point in them. Uh, I'd rather just, like if I said to a fighter, "Hey man, you want me to fly next UFC guy here to fight you, or do you want to fight for a title against an Aussie?" Fuck, if I was that fighter, I'd be like, "Fly that ex UFC guy here. I'm going to make a name for myself. I'm going to steal his shine." I think that's more important, and that's just where my experience and my fight career has led me to, and I believe that that's better for the fighter and better for the industry and better for the growth. Titles and exclusive contracts are great for promotion and great for business. They're just not super good for the athlete themselves.
You kind of touched on it there earlier in the answer when you were talking about how people make their way to the UFC now. And you mentioned like Ultimate Fighter and Dana White's Contender Series. Do you think those things are ultimately good for fighters that they don't get
Yeah,
signed directly?
yeah, they're great. They're a great opportunity. Look, they run like I think I tried out for the Ultimate Fighter like 3 times. Um, I think they're a great opportunity. I think they get paid better to fight on it than domestically. So first of all, you get your first visa, you get to travel to America, you get to fight on a big show at the UFC Apex. You get paid pretty well for it. I think that's better than nothing. And they're pretty good to watch because everyone knows you pretty much go in there to punch on and get a finish. And if you don't, you're just a boring decision maker. It's just another win, but you got paid better for it. Look, I think they're good. And the other thing that's good is like if you happen to win on it, let's say Tom Nolan. I mean, the guy's a fucking weapon, man. Like I've trained with him and he is a weapon. Um, he wins by a vicious KO on the Contender Series, right? The UFC invests in that. If he just came to the UFC and won, he's just another guy on a card with a knockout. They're not going to invest in him. He's going to have to win 3 or 4 fights at lightweight before anyone takes any notice in the UFC because they had the depth of the division. But he wins on the Contender Series, violent KO, gets signed to a contract. Everyone's like, "Holy shit, this guy's..." And like literally instantly, he gets promotion from that. That's better for him. It's good for the brand, but that's better for him as well. So I think the Contender Series and the Ultimate Fighter is a great opportunity for domestic athletes to showcase their skills to the world in pursuit of a UFC contract. But the benefit to it is once they sign the contract off that, they get better promotion once they get to the UFC. So yeah, I think it's great. Well, I think if I was an athlete and I had my opportunity over again, you can't predict anything, but I think if you were presented that opportunity over a 2 week notice opportunity, I think you'd take a Contender Series. Given that you get notice and you'd hope something came up short notice along the way. But I think like if that was presented to you, it would be silly not to take an opportunity like that.
talking about your time in the UFC and your career, as well as kind of talking about what's been going on recently. Blood Diamond has come back from his time in the UFC, and he fought on Hex that's
Well,
just
yeah.
passed.
Well, it
Well,
was rough,
obviously,
eh?
it did, yeah, it was rough. It didn't go his way. I was there. I was fortunate to. I didn't interview him, but I spoke to him. He didn't seem too heartbroken afterwards, which I'm happy to say that.
He's a
Um,
fighter, man. He's a fighter. Those guys, man, people don't understand. Kiwis are fucking different. They're a different breed, eh? Like they fight. They fight in the gym. They don't. He doesn't care. Like he'll care that he lost, but it's not going to keep him down. You know, those guys are their fighting is their life, and you're not going to keep him down. You know, so yeah, I'm not surprised that he wasn't too disheartened by it. But it'll be interesting to see what he does next.
After your time in the UFC, you went on and you fought in Ryzen. So much of the UFC universally is recognized as the top of the sport. And when I interview fighters, when I say, where do you want to go? That's where they go. As a fighter, when your time in the UFC comes to an end, what keeps you going?
Um, Man, I think by the time you've reached the UFC, fighting is part of your life. Um, you know, because it takes a lot. You got to commit a large portion of your time, day in, day out, to make the UFC. People think just training at night for an hour or 2 hours is going to do it. Like, it's just not, you know, like, you got to commit like the training time, the recovery time, the fucking study time, you know, like whatever, like so many things to make in the UFC. It becomes part of your life. And you know, I guess some people have more to walk away to than they have to fight for, and that could be easy once the time's up in the UFC to walk away. But for me, I just, you know, as part of my life, I didn't believe that I was done. I lost two split decisions when I got cut. Like, it's pretty shit, but just is what it is. And yeah, I think what really worked for me is I got bored with unified MMA rules. So I didn't notice it at the time, but it was just like it was just like it was just fighting, you know, just a bit of a monotonous, mundane type routine. And when the opportunity came to fight for Ryzen, like I was like, it was like I was in a new sport, like fucking soccer kicks, like was in training. I was like, guys, if you guys see an opportunity, you just need to pop the leg up, you know. And the amount of times I sit up, I could get kicked in the head. Like it just literally, it changed everything for me. I was like remotivated, reinvigorated, like everything. You know, it was like a new sport, a new threat, and I got excited again. And so for me, it was easy because I was excited about fighting again. You know, like it was a new journey, a new path, and a new motivator. So yeah, that was probably it. And also the other thing was I never wanted to fight domestically again. I was very bitter about my last couple of fights, and the judging. And I don't care what anyone says, like you can say I lost it or whatever, but um, yeah, I was super bitter about it, and I was like, "Fuck this! I'm never fighting Australia again. The judges can get fucked." And I was like super angry, man, like very angry at it, and it cost me my career. Anyway, probably did lose the fights. Looking back 10 years later or whatever it's been, but it was for me. I just was like, well, if there's not an overseas opportunity, then I'm done. But I got my overseas opportunity, and I found that I was re you know enthused by the new rule set, and so that's what kept me going. But yeah, it's I think everyone's different, man. You know, some people got business, family, single, nothing to lose. You know, like you think Sean Strickland's going to stop fighting if the UFC let him go? That guy will fight in the fucking car park. Like it's part of his life. So I don't think I don't think it really you can define it by any kind of single answer. It just really depends on the individual. But for me, I just was like, okay, I'm not going to fight in Australia again. I'm going to fight overseas. If the opportunity comes up, the opportunity came up for me. New rules. Yep, sweet. Started training with them. Holy shit, this is cool as. All right, sweet. I'm pumped up again. I'm ready to go. And you know, for that, I went on and had a good couple of victories.
I'm not a fight promoter. I don't know what it literally takes to go into running a show. Um, but that kind of frustration at fighting domestically when you then go on to make a show, does that affect it at all? Like how literally, like, do you have any say in anything when it comes to the judges and
I'm
stuff?
a lot older now than when the UFC released me. Um, for me, it's just, you know, um, I just, I don't know, like, it doesn't make it hard. Like, I'm just, I think as a coach has helped me more than being an athlete or a promoter. I think as a coach, I tend to now focus on, the rules, the guidelines, the regulations, like, fucking don't be wrong, because I'm telling you, I'll challenge you, not in a bad way, but I'll respectfully challenge you if you are wrong. Understand the rules, understand the judging criteria, or I will challenge you. And that's my duty as a coach, and I believe that's every coach's duty. You should challenge people when they're wrong. You should support and back your athletes. That's what they pay you to be there for. And I am unapologetically emotional when it comes to coaching my students, and having their back. So yeah, I feel like that, if anything, has helped me, because I now know that a lot of things are out of my hands. And I believe that maybe some of my bitterness and whatnot was from the fact that I then went and lost my job with UFC. But um, I've got a lot of shittier decisions outside the UFC. Like, I lost 3 decisions in Cage Warriors, and you would argue that I won them, but they were no different. But I think just that's probably heightened because I lost my UFC contract off the back of that. But it is what it is, man. That's life. And had that have not happened, then I probably wouldn't have got to beat Darren Cruikshank in the first round in Rising on a New Year's Eve card on a Mayweather fight. So it's like pretty big opportunity came about from that. And again, like I said, I'm older now, and I understand that a lot of things are out of our control, and you can't be upset by them, but you can be knowledgeable, and you can educate yourself, and you can challenge decisions, um, as long as you are educated and you have a good, respectful approach to it.
So this is the first time you and I have spoken to each other. So I don't mean to speak in a way that I like to pretend I know you. But I have listened to other interviews you've done, and throughout this interview, you've kind of spoken about it. You seem to me at least, you seem to be someone who's approaching this sport essentially with morals, and I feel like you maybe said that earlier, and maintaining that and really kind of sticking to your core beliefs in a sport like MMA. How has that been for you to stick to those morals?
It's hard, man. There's a lot of shit in this sport and whatnot. But I feel like if you have good values and good morals and whatnot, you just stay true to that, then everything will just play out, right? Like, I feel like if you know who you are, and you know who you want to be, and you know what you expect of people around you, and how you expect to be treated, then I think that everything is a reflection of that. So far it's worked for me. Again, it makes it far easier for me that I am definitely the kind of person that gets happiness out of helping others. And also the kind of person that understands business enough to know that if I'm not losing money, it's okay to keep going. So I probably do commit a lot of my time to promoting fights for free almost. But again, I'm not losing money, and so I get to provide a service to fighters and an opportunity for them to have a great experience. And I think, I would hope not, but I think you could ask any fighter that's ever come across Beatdown Promotions, and you'll get a good story, a good feel story. And um, barring the losses, I would say that everyone would be happy with their experience. And to me, that's all that really matters. And if that doesn't make me millions of dollars, then I'm okay with that. And but yeah, I just that's how I carry myself day in, day out. The people who are around me know who I am and what they're getting from me, and that'll never waver.
After all your time in the sport as a fighter, a coach, and a promoter, How do you still love the sport?
Um, Man, there is this something about getting punched in the face that's good for me. And you know, I love combat. I am drawn to high risk environments, um, and adrenaline. And this sport gives me everything that I need in my life. It gives me, the thrills day in, day out. If I feel like challenging myself, I'll train with one of my younger fighters. Um, you know, One day I'll be too old to do that, but for now I'm going to enjoy it. And I think most importantly, and probably this is why I knew I wanted to be a coach, was um, I got into coaching just because I coached a couple of fighters back in 2012 in Coffs Harbour, and yeah, I really enjoyed it, man. Like I didn't just enjoy the opportunity, but like deep down inside of me, I was like, man, it was like being in a fight. Like I enjoyed it, like I was fighting, and I was just coaching them, like cornering them. They're just teammates. Um, and so for me, I knew that I wanted to be a fighter, and every single time one of my fighters fight, I feel like all the same emotions. Like I dry reach, like I belch before they walk out. They're like, "You're all right, coach." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." It's like it's my fight, and I get to ride that wave with them for the rest of my life. Every single person that comes through my doors that wants to compete, I get to fight again. And I don't do that in like the bad, the bad soccer dad way, where I'm living life for everyone else. I've lived my life, but I've already had my moments. I've had my big walkouts and everything. So I don't need it. It's not like I didn't have it. Now I want it. It's like I had it. Now I want everyone to experience it. Um, so I get to make that walk every time now, and that's part of my life. But as far as just being part of the sport, I truly love violence. There is uh there is no amount of fucking CTE and brain scans and studies you can give me that will deter me from this sport. Like I love it. I know it's dangerous. I know it's violent. I know that there's a high risk of injury and long term injuries. But there's something about this sport that gets me out of bed, makes me go to the gym, makes me invest my money in the growth of it, and give opportunities to other athletes. And there's no amount of anything like that would deter me from that. Like I truly do love it, and I think you could talk to anyone that's around me that would like close to me that would tell you that I love violence in the best possible way. And MMA, just happened to find me at the right time, and now it's going to be part of my life for the rest of my days.
The question I asked you just before that, you in your answer, you talked about committing your time to promoting fights, and that's exactly what you've done today. We were going to do 15 minutes, and we have gone significantly over that, and I appreciate you for giving me that time. It means the world. Damien Brown, thank you for your time. Beatdown Promotions 7, May 11th. Tickets available through the Beatdown Promotions website. Thank you so much for your time.
No worries, man. Thanks for that. And as always, we will run a free stream. So head to our YouTube and subscribe to Beatdown Promotions. Catch a stream on Saturday night.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.